We're back. Welcome to St James's Pod. We're here to review the Luton game, which seen 8 goals, unfortunately shared between the two teams. We'll be going over all of that, the good, the bad, and the not so ugly, as well as looking ahead to the Forest game. Which we could really do with getting 3 points in. We'll dive straight into that after a quick word from this week's sponsor, Total Supplements. Take it away. This episode of St James's Pod is brought to you by Total Supplements. Visit their website, totalsupplements.co, to discover their range of nutritionist-tested supplements, gummies, shakes, and natural extracts. So whether you train hard, work hard, or take an active interest in your overall health, use our code St James's Pod, that's STJAMESPOD, for 25% off your entire order. The link's in the description. Support the podcast and visit totalsupplements.co now and tell them St James's Pod sent you. So obviously we were at St James's Park hosting Luton. What was the atmosphere like, Alex, in the corner there?
You know, it started out pretty decent, and obviously like getting the early goal, it got the crowd up. But obviously it was a fucking roller coaster of a game, so naturally the crowd was up and down a bit. But I think generally it wasn't a bad crowd, considering, well, we run a form, and often these games against the sort of lower league opposition, like, it can be a bit flat. So no, I think the crowd was decent, to be fair, and it was just a weird one coming out of as well, because like obviously we're going up twice and then 2 goals down with half an hour to go, and you could say salvaging a point. I don't know. Like, we could have went and won it. Like, they could have went and won it. I didn't know what I felt, and this is what I said, like, at the old Garter after. I was saying to the lads, like, I don't know how I feel about that game. I don't know whether I should feel like happy or sad, or like it was just a proper weird one. But at the end of the day, like, I'm trying to see the bigger picture. Like, 4 points away to Villa and home to Luton. Like, fucking, I want to snap your hand off at that. It's just a shame how we're home form previously has been so good that we just couldn't like hold on to those leads, and it's just like a theme of this year of like shipping goals and shipping chances, and yeah, like I know all 3 were predicted a clean sheet, by the way. So like, what the fuck do we know? Yes, if anyone's listening, you're listening to the wrong fucking pod, because we know now about the Toon.
Absolutely nothing. Shocking. And the signs were there as well, because we'd even talked about how they'd scored 4 against Brighton, and then go and score 4 against us. And we just disregarded that completely. So yeah, no, hilarious. But I read that they brought a full contingent up as an away following. What were they sounding? I imagine they were in absolute dreamland, like, and sounding pretty good up there in level 7.
Yeah, like, since I sit up pretty much the opposite side of the ground to where the away fans sit, like, if the home fans are in like good form for the full game, like, I often can barely hear them, or like if a goal goes in. But no, they were in good voice like the full game, to be fair. Like, obviously, especially when they go up a couple of times, they're allowed, and to be fair, they got quiet and very fucking quickly, like. But like, even at the end of the game, like, when the players are going over to clap to the fucking heavens, they were constant at the end. So fair play to them. They must have had a decent night, to be fair. Came up here probably expecting, like, I mean, maybe I'm doing them a disservice in expecting like maybe to get a point at most or whatever, because they've been on good form. They've also had the performances to look good on the pitch. So I'm probably being a bit fucking arrogant, one of those arrogant, like, Big Six kind of like fans, like, saying, oh, they'll look to come up here and get a point, or they should have been expecting maybe to get turned over. But yeah, like, yeah, they were in good voice the full game, so I can't knock them at all.
It came through on the TV as well, to be fair. Like, they looked like they're having a great time. So
yeah, definitely.
You can't really hate on Luton, can you? I mean,
nah.
With even the way they played as well, like, fair play to them. But I think it's fair enough to say we should have won that game. Obviously, the defending was pretty horrendous at times, and then we could have even probably scored 6 or 7 really as well. So if we look at the game as well at the start, can't remember when they scored exactly, but there was a period at the start where I just thought, yeah, we're going to absolutely turn these over here. Like, we looked at the start like we were on that kind of performance that we've seen before, almost like the Sheffield United game. Like, I thought it was going to be a big number at one point, and I suppose it was. Just it was evenly split. So, yeah, were you surprised at all to see Dan Burns start when their right winger was apparently he's been recorded as the fastest player in the Premier League this season?
Well, I know we've said like that Eddie doesn't often like to change winning formulas and everything else, but and Dan Burn has come up against quick wingers at times this season and last, and done okay. More so last season than this season up against the tricky wingers. But then, yeah, this guy is, rapid, and when we've got a fit Livramento there on the bench, and I don't know, I feel like we've said before as well, it's safer to play Dan Burn in some respects in the home games, because that we're not expecting to be attacked too often, or at least you would think that with a team like Luton maybe coming in and playing a little bit more deeper, and but in credit to them, they didn't. They went at us, and in that respect, maybe Eddie made a mistake in starting Burn, but he was definitely at fault for a couple of those goals, positioning wise, and just especially for the penalty, for just not having the legs, and just
he's got the fucking legs. He's just kind of moving quickly.
Not getting the function of.
He's got too many legs, if anything.
So it is frustrating like that. I mean, finally teams are finding a way around him, and he just looked clumsome, and I can't really explain why then we persisted with it for so long.
That's the thing, like the first half though, like it's not like he was getting put a foul out the first half. I think he actually had a solid half, to be fair. It was obviously those like third and fourth goals where he like got well and truly found out. But like I think Eddie probably wanted him on the pitch for that sort of aerial threat. Like he is good, like defensively in the box. He's fucking massive. He might not. I think he's got one of the highest like header win percentages of like any fullback in the league, which he should do considering he's 6'7" against wingers like Saka. But like it shows like their first goal like was from a set piece, so like it shows that like Eddie was right in a way that they are a danger, and the centre half scored the first goal, which I don't know what to say about it. Like it was a well worked set piece. Obviously they like planned out what they were going to do, like to head it back across the box, and it was an easy finish in the end. But yeah, Dan Burn, what can I say? Like that, as I've mentioned, the third and fourth goals, he looked completely out of his depth, and I don't know whether it's got to do with like his winger being different or something like that. Obviously, like Gordon missing the match. I don't know how much you can put on that, like him going off at half time, because he lost his guy on the left at half time. So, and then he had obviously Mig come into that role, and I think Murphy did for a tiny bit, and that's when he got found out. So, not that I'm blaming sort of Eddie for, I don't know, not pairing up the right winger with him or whatever, but he got put against, as Paige said, one of the fastest guys in the league, and you could fucking tell. Like he must have like ran twice the distance to go around him, and he still beat him to the ball. Like it went on the one where he gave away the pen. Like it was like when Bale fucking ran off the pitch. He might as well have like
Yeah,
And Burn, what can I say? Like, I don't want to be too harsh on him, but it's times like that where Tino's been so good defending one-on-one matchups. He's quick. He's good in the tackle. Eddie Howe seems quite slow in bringing these like subs on mid-game. Like, we're seeing it against Villa where Watkins scored and nearly scored another like straight after, like the ball coming down his side, and then he changes it, and then obviously in this game it was too late. So what do you reckon, Sam?
Well, I was just going to say, when you're talking about him not having legs, like he probably is one of the slowest in the team, but obviously the whole of the defence doesn't really have much in terms of pace. And then the three were playing in the centre now because of injuries. Also, none of them have really got pace. So you think about last season when he was doing so well against the likes of Saka and stuff. He obviously had Joe Linton helping him out a fair bit from the centre mid. And that, as good as Lewis Miley's playing, like you just can't do the same thing as Joe Linton. You can't really help him out as in the same way. So I think I understand why he gets started because of, like, as well, Luton are like a strong team and they've got some big tall players. So he's obviously getting in for that side of things as well, and his leadership and stuff like that. But I just think he was it's not really his fault. I mean, he's at fault for the pen, but it's not his fault he's getting done, really. Like, you can't expect him to match someone for pace who's the fastest in the league. So
Run faster.
yeah.
I wasn't there
positioning,
that.
I guess you can question.
Well, that was what I was going to say. Yeah, that clip is of where the Milan game. Sorry, where the carbon copy of them, like in the same positions, like, and the winger just having acres of space to the left side of Burn and like firing into the corner was just like, the carbon copy of that fourth goal. And yeah, just frustrating that seems to not have been, I don't know, either picked up in like training, or I don't know, for it to happen, a few times. And I think somebody even mentioned that it was similar in a way to a goal conceded against Forest only a few weeks ago at the end of December. So it's like, to keep repeating the same sort of mistakes defensively and allowing that kind of space is a little bit of a concern. And yeah, it's a bit concerning that it's defense was definitely the pillar in which we were strongest with last season. For us to now be looking at certain goals that we're conceding and criticising them as much as we are is like, not great that we're sort of backpedaling a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you think we're being, or at least I'm coming across overly critical, but it just seems like it's the manner of the goals that we're conceding. Fair enough if we concede, and it's what it is, but it's just some of the things, the mistakes and things, like, just happening too often.
Well, that's the thing. Like, in the first half, I don't remember them having any other big chances other than the goals. They seemed to score every time they fucking went forward. Like, we quite dominated that first half, but went in even. So it was a bit of a strange one. But I don't think you're being unfair on the team, because I think after 25 games, or at this stage last season, whatever it was, we conceded like less goals over the course of the full season than we'll have up to this point this season already. So in 14 less games, we've conceded more goals. Like, it's ridiculous, from like literally one of the best sides in the league defensively to shipping these bad goals, and it's becoming a bit of a regular occurrence. And like, things need to change, and whether it is like missing that like central midfielder like Joe Linton, even like Joe Willock coming to help out playing on that left. He's a lot quicker than Miley, and he can probably, obviously he's got a bit of an older head on his shoulders. He knows when to get back. He knows when to make those darting runs in between the fullback and the centre half, which Miley's been doing well. it's just with something not quite there. Whether it's the middle of the park, whether it's like Burn losing a step left back, but like we cannot keep conceding all these goals, like four in a game.
Yeah. 4 at home is like terrible, really.
It's not good at all, really. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you can look at Sheffield United, and obviously we smashed 8 past them at their place, and they conceded 5 against Villa. But they're Sheffield United; they're at the bottom of the table, and I think you kind of in some ways expect that. But for us, we have to be setting better standards than conceding 4 goals. Either be it against Luton or even if it was Liverpool, City, whatever. Like we just can't be letting that become a regular thing.
Well, should we talk about some positives out of the game then? We've come in quite negative so far, I feel. So, I guess we could talk about Longstaff's finishing. Seems to be vastly improved.
Definitely. Yeah, it's nice to see he's adding that to his game. But we know that he's bit by bit, season by season, seems to be, his range of passing seems to be getting a little better. We know his work rate has always been there, and he's getting into the tackles and everything. But we wanted him to be that finished article of a box-to-box midfielder, and yeah, the more we're seeing him scoring goals and the finishing that he's doing, putting them right in the corners and stuff like that, it's definitely what you'd expect from a true box-to-boxer, and I'm pleased to see that. That's I don't know if it's something that he may have like set out as a target, an objective this season to add to that part of his game, but if that's the case, I think he can put a tick against that, because he's looking a lot stronger in that aspect of things.
Like, how many times are like crying out for someone arriving late in the box, like to tap it in? Like, that's like Sean Longstaff's like 40. It's that little space, like probably like online with a pen spot, like on the right hand side. That's where he crops up.
Yeah,
and like he's like, he is so good there. Obviously, he could have got the 4th goal against Villa, like in that exact spot, like making that overlapping run, and he scored 2 today. So, and that's all down to his work rate. Like, obviously, he's got to have the finishes in there as well, but it's literally like having the legs to get in the box and make a difference there, because obviously that's a bit which Miley probably doesn't need to add to his game, because I don't think he influences the game going forward that much. You don't really see him picking like the sort of through balls going forward, or you don't. He tries to make, like, you can see he's trying. You can see Eddie's trying to teach him to make the same kind of runs that sort of like Longstaff makes on the right. He tries to make them on the left, and the ones that like Willock and Joelinton, if they're playing on the centre of the left, that they'll play. But yeah, Longstaff does that so well, and like, yeah, you've got to give him credit. Like, I think he's took a bit of stick over the past few weeks as well, because he hasn't had a few great games. So, like, despite not having control of the midfield, I think obviously you've got to like tip your hat to his 2 goals, which from his kind of player, like, yeah, he's done well to get one forward twice, and he's been let down by his defenders really, because he's got us in the lead twice and we've fucked it both times. Like, you shouldn't be taking the lead twice at home and like not getting 3 points like the majority of the time. So he was let down by other members of the team, I would say, but it was that whole control of the midfield, like off the ball as well. Like, you've got to give props. I know people have been mentioning him for the England squad, but Ross Barkley was like, he was the orchestrator in there. He's a player who, like, he was written off. He's written completely off like years ago. Yeah. So to see him back in the Prem, like playing as well as he is, and people even mentioning England, like fair play to him. Like, I know his goal was a bit scrappy from a rebound, but once again, it was similar to Longstaff. He had to make the run. He had to be there.
I was going to make that comparison there about what Longstaff could like try to emulate. I know Barkley had a bit of a bad spell at Chelsea. I say a bit of a bad spell. It was bloody awful. Like, and the few loans that he had out weren't great either, which robbed him of quite a bit of a key chunk of his career. But if you take it back to that, like the Barkley at Everton and what we're seeing from him at Luton, he's like very much somebody who was like a boxer. I know he was likened to Lampard, and like everybody who had big expectations on him potentially being a Lampard-esque type player. And yeah, I think Longstaff could try and sort of emulate that in some respects with his all-round game. And yeah, I mean he's getting there, but I wouldn't say he's quite fully at it. But yeah, for Ross Barkley, I'm pleased enough for him that he's found a bit of form again. Because yeah, I always rated him as a good player, but when he was coming through at Everton, and just lost his way. But yeah, he's very much back at it, and I mean for an absolute snip as well, free transfer for Luton. I know they couldn't really work with much in the transfer window, but to pick him up and get the performance out of him, they've done very well.
That's mad for a free transfer. But where was he? He was in France or something, right?
His last club was Nice, yeah, in France, but I'm not sure if, yeah, because he was at Chelsea and then had a loan spell at Villa and then went on loan to Nice. And I'm not sure if Nice then picked him up permanently. But yeah, didn't work out for him there, and then he was a free. And Luton, yeah, they've done decent in that respect, picking up a couple of free transfers that have had an impact. You just look at Andros Townsend; he was another free transfer, but he scored the winner against us at Kenilworth Road. So, yeah,
fucking snake.
Snaky Townsend.
Snaky Townsend. But yeah, back to like positives from us. Like, yeah, Longstaff definitely was the shining light, but I suppose you got to Trippier getting his first goal of the season. Yeah,
he
popping
had a
up.
good performance, I thought. Got an assist as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was pretty decent finish as well. Like from the the cross.
I mean, the ball in was quality, but it was still quite a hard one to finish off with his left foot as well.
Yeah, it was Bruno, wasn't it, who put the ball in outside of the boot. He loves that, doesn't he?
Bruno did that again right at the end of the game, didn't he?
You fucking main man Jacob Murphy spooned it out of the bar.
Aye, but
what do you want to say to that, Thomas?
I haven't got anything to say on that.
Plead the fifth on that one.
I will do.
That was so frustrating because obviously we got those two quick goals to get back on level terms, and then there was still about 10 minutes on the clock when that chance came by. And then, like, from where I was like right behind it in the corner. So when it gets a touch, it looks like it could still be flicking in, and then it flicks over the bar. I'm just like, fuck. So frustrating, man. It was on a place. You just needed to keep it down, and it was in.
I mean, credit to it.
And Bruno as well. Like, obviously, he's not the quickest, like, on his feet sprinting. But he turned someone inside out on the sideline, and then that ball across the 6-yard box. Christ. He was begging. It was absolutely begging just to be putting it in the net. Just put it in the net, man!
To be honest, I didn't think Bruno had his best game, but when he was doing, like, he kind of grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck in the second half when we went behind.
He tends to do that, like when we're behind or like when we're like looking for a goal. He wants to get on that ball. He'll drop in between the centre halves to get the ball off them. Like he wants to like make something happen. And like it's rare where he does that, and it gets a bit too much. He usually like delivers. So fair play to him. Like,
I mean,
and then
this
question. Go on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the question marks on the fourth goal. Obviously, we're good to see that Barnes is back and scoring on the return. Like that's exactly what you want from a player who's, a lot of people have questioned like why we went for him and like if he got injured and that he didn't do enough before his injury and things like that. But yeah, you want somebody like him coming off the bench and been crying out for large portions of the season, having somebody being able to
Large
make.
portions.
I love a large portion.
Nickname.
Yeah, we're fucking hell, caught me right off my stride there. Yeah, we've been calling out for it, and then for him to make such an instant impact, obviously there's a bit of a question mark, isn't there, on the build up to it. I think Miley does really well, to be honest. I know some people are saying like it's a foul on Barkley, but
really, I've not
Shite,
seen
he
it.
fucking won the ball.
Yeah, it's just maybe I've not been able to see the a definitive angle of it from the others. I mean, from your angle at the ground doors, you would have been able to see spot on. I think from the camera angles, it wasn't clear whether or not, or the ones I've seen at least, whether or not he did nip in and get his foot ahead of it, Barkley. But I mean, wasn't like a huge talking point after the game, but it was one that I'd seen people mention. But yeah, obviously great to win the ball so high from Miley. I think he does do that quite well in terms of like maybe doesn't win the ball in the deeper positions quite as well, but nicking the ball there like high up the pitch, and then for Barnes to be able to run onto it and took it away, whip into the corner, like was
Just passing, honestly, like when the ball hit the net, like obviously it was a bit of relief from the stadium because we went from 4-2 down to 4-4 in like, I'm sure it was less than 10 minutes. And then it gave it so much time to go and get a winner as well. So like the crowd was up. Barnes was straight back in his own half, like, right, grab the ball, let's kick off again. But it was just nice. Like, I don't know if you've seen his interview after, but I asked him on Sky Sports about it, and he's saying like, yeah, like obviously we didn't get the win, but he's like, it did feel nice to come back and get the goal. And he was like obviously being out for so long, like he said, like it's like one of like me like happiest feelings in football, like getting back and getting a goal and getting back on the pitch. Really, you can tell he was just like dying to get back on the pitch. And for once again, just at the right time, because we've got another man out injured with Gordon. Although reports are that he might make the Forest game this weekend, but seems to be a lot of question marks. No, I don't think anyone particularly knows, other than, well, the people at the club, I guess. But he was wandering around the Metro Centre without a protective boot on, so that's probably a good sign of anything.
Yeah, it was a bit jarring when you seen him leave in a protective boot, like. But I think they were saying that he twisted his ankle or something. So fingers crossed, like, because he was, again, in that first half, he was quality, like, such a good player.
Oh, he's been class. Like you obviously wonder, like, at half time. I know we went in 2-2, but we pretty much dominated the first half, and we lost a lot of that control in the second half. And you wonder how much that has got to do with Gordon going off, and obviously Wilson. To be fair, I thought he had a good game. I thought he battled quite well. I thought he held the ball up well. I thought he looked decent. Like, I thought he gave a good account of himself, despite not like registering a goal or assist or whatever. But it's good to see him back, and there's rumours that Isak could be in contention as well. Well, but again, there's been so little. Like, how is it such a fucking bullshitter? You never know what. Like, if he's out for a week, like, you could be out for like 4 months, and you'll say he's out for a week, he's ready to come back. Well, then Isak, you'll say he's not quite ready, then he'll be fucking starting. So, I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Do you reckon he's a master of poker? Do you reckon Eddie's brilliant at a game of poker? Because he honestly never seems to give anything away. Like, any slight like look in any press conference of like whether it be injuries coming back or transfers or whatever. Like, he's just such a like cool.
I think you can tell
customer.
when he's bullshitting, though, don't you?
He has like a little wry smile. Like, he knows he's talking shit, but like, he's not going to like straight up lie to your face. It's a bit like coy.
No.
Do you reckon he was actually ill at the last press conference?
Hi.
Or was just
more Tyndall in charge.
Wanted more time on the training pitch. He was like, "You go do it this time, mate."
Yeah, can't be asked. But yeah, and otherwise, like, I mean, I can't think of many of the major positives, like, from the from the game, other than the ones that we've mentioned there. Like, but yeah, I think it's just good that we've got numbers back, and hopefully any of the ones that, like you mentioned with Gordon, can come through, and got a few days to get any final recovery in ahead of this Forest game.
Well, I think looking ahead to Forest, I think the positives we can take from the game is obviously scoring 4 goals. It's always a positive. Coming back from behind and not losing the game, positive. Getting 4 points, like you said earlier, from those 2 games, like you would have taken that prior. So if you look at it that way as well, and getting those injuries back, like touchwood, obviously Gordon isn't a bad one, and he's back. Then we've got Barnes definitely, Wilson definitely back, and he's a rumour to be returning. So going into this Forest game, I think we can take a lot of positives from it. It's just obviously this week, training wise, we need to be looking at the defensive structure and stuff, and whether we can actually have like Tino or someone come in and not like lose anything on set pieces and stuff with Dan Burn not being in there, because I think it is that and his leadership why he doesn't want to drop him. And I think like you do hear him a lot in press conferences say he'll look at each game and which players and which team is going to be the best to win the game, but then he always kind of puts out the same team. So it's like, how much is he really doing that? Like, he didn't obviously match up the pace wise for the Luton game. Do you think we'll see him tinker with things for Forest? Should we have a quick check on the Forest score at the minute, because they're playing FA Cup, aren't they?
They are, and it's 1-1 at half time.
1-1.
And yeah, in terms of the major kind of team news from Forest in this game is that they've rested a few players, but still got the likes of Gibbs White and Elanga playing, but it's Divock Origi who's leading the line. So yeah, a one you would expect will be back in for our game. I know
Chris Woods out injured.
I know, fucking hell, couldn't do that again, having him score another hat-trick. But yeah, I'd expect him. But Awoniyi, he's coming back from a long spell out injured. So yeah, he'll be looking to try and get back to the ways he was from last season and earlier this season. He is a handful.
I watched Match of the Day and he had a few chances against Bournemouth, and he looked like he was doing all the right things, getting in the right positions, and his finishing wasn't quite there. So fingers crossed, he's still a little bit rusty.
Yeah, I think
they might have to bring on some big guns if it stays 1-1 as well. So,
well, yeah, he's on the bench. Hudson-Odoi, he's also on the bench. So I'd think, yeah, they might call upon those guys if things are looking still a bit, worrying for them in that one. So yeah, back to the point though about looking at matchups and what we might need to tinker with from a defensive point of view. Yeah, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, either one of those, if they're paired up against Dan Burn, would again concern me, because even just like this week, I mean, I'm not questioning like Dan Burn's mentality and professionalism or anything in any way, but he'll be thinking about that Luton game. He'll be thinking about the performance, and he'll be worried about, making similar sort of mistakes and conceding penalties for in similar situations. So it's whether or not like Eddie is fully trusting that that's not going to be on his mind, and that he's fully mentally ready for whoever he's going to be paired up with. But it's, again, both of those players I mentioned, Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, tricky, quick, like most modern Premier League wingers are. But yeah, I think they would be, if they were coming up against Dan Burn, I reckon they'd be relishing it. And I think both are in particularly, or at least Hudson-Odoi scored a decent goal, didn't he, away at Bournemouth. So yeah, they would be up for that, I think. So I hope Eddie's factoring that into everything on the training pitch and his selections.
Yeah, like it's one of those where if you watch our game back at St James's Park against Forest, like if you look where they were attacking down the wings, both that Trippier and Byrne. So either Eddie Howe needs to work on getting Byrne some help, and obviously Longstaff's pretty good at helping Trippier out generally, or he needs to start Dino, and it's that simple. You can't get left 1-on-1 with one of those wingers because, as we've seen against Luton, he hasn't got the pace to like beat them in a straight up race. Like obviously we did see last season, like you had a few games where you put him up against these fast wingers and he could keep up with them, like if they were running with the ball. But I don't know if he has like lost like a yard or something like that, because obviously against Luton, that it was clear as day. So whether it's sort of giving him a hand with, I don't know, if Gordon's on the left, tell him to help him get back, or whoever's on that left side of midfield, is it going to be Miley, Longstaff, Bruno again? I know Eddie said that Willock was just behind Wilson in the terms of like getting back to full fitness. So obviously we know he's not going to start, but are we going to see Willock on the bench? Like, could he maybe come on the left side of midfield and give him a hand?
Haven't we got Anderson also not far off, or did I read that he had like a setback?
Well, from Tyndall's press conference especially, I think he said like, yeah, Wilson and Barnes are nearly back. Willock just a bit behind them, and then I think Anderson maybe.
Right.
I think nearer sort of, I don't know, back end of the month until he's back. But that's obviously where Forest are going to target. So we're going to have some ideas to counter it. And Eddie, you know, he's an absolute like mastermind of the game. Like he'll put the work in. He'll be watching back all that footage and looking where he can improve and make sure it doesn't happen again. So I guess we can just see what happens, and hopefully a few of their players will be a bit leggy, and we can give Matt Sells a nice Newcastle welcome.
I was going to ask if he was playing tonight.
He's been rested, I believe.
No, yeah, it's Turner in the goal today, and he's not on the bench.
The fact he played against Bournemouth, though, he got Hyde straight in when they signed him. And Turner was on the bench for that game as well. Seems to indicate that he's been bought as a number one.
As a number one, yeah, which is crazy because all their keeper choices are all ones which you could argue like there's no. I mean, yeah, some of them have had dips in form and everything else, but yeah, they brought Turner in the summer as a number one, and then Odysseus to like be a definite one to push for the number one, not just like be an absolute backup, and then now to bring Sells back to English soil is going to be a interesting one to see what he was like, because he ended his Toon career pretty badly. Let's be honest, he didn't look particularly great in the Championship. So
yourselves,
and yeah, so if he is going to be starting in goal, the Toon fans are going to be desperate to just give him a hard time and get some goals past him.
I was just thinking before we move away from the left back situation as well. With Byrne, he came back early from his back injury because we were obviously in such dire need at the time. Do you think it would probably be a good idea to rest him a little bit as well? Like that could be another thing, is that he's kind of come back in early and then he's not really come out with the team again. And then I was also wondering, do you think Eddie's reluctant, even though Tino did so well at left back, to play him there because technically it's out of position? And if that's part of his thinking, like why isn't Lewis Hall getting much of a look in?
Yeah, the whole Lewis Hall thing for me just seems like baffling. Like I know we always say that Eddie, when he brings somebody in, won't throw them in straight away. He wants to get them up to his standard of fitness and make sure that they're tactically aware of everything that he wants them to do. But he's been with us since the summer, and
I was gonna say that it's February. Fuck me.
It's February, and we've barely seen him. It's just and he was brought in at least from my perspective, not as one for the future, but one for the current squad. And that backs up the transfer fee that we're prepared to pay once what that goes through in the summer. So for him to then not play as much, just worries me. Especially when players ahead of him in the pecking order are going through particularly bad spells of form. Why is he not getting called upon? Is definitely a strange one.
That's the thing, we'll barely even mention his name these days because we know he's just a non-factor that he's not going to start and he's not going to get many minutes if he doesn't start. You see him getting brought on in the 90-odd minute. How is that going to help him? I don't know. Yeah, as you're saying, is a strange one. There's no logic behind it that I can think of. He's had enough time to train. Well, maybe because he hasn't had much time on the training pitch because we've had 2 games a week and we haven't spent that much time, as Eddie said, since we started the Champions League football in October. I don't know.
He's never been injured this season, has he?
No.
I'm right in saying he's always been available for selection, as far as I'm aware, throughout the whole season. Yet we just haven't used it. Only in
it's
the
not a small
games.
fee either.
Yeah, no, it's not.
28 million. It's a lot of money for our for how much we can spend. That was one of our 4 players we got in the summer. One of them's banned, and he's one of the 3 that's left. And we're not prepared to give him minutes, even during a complete injury crisis where we're playing same minutes, the same players all the minutes. I need to rather play Tino there over him, who is clearly right-footed. Granted, you've done a fucking fantastic job when you did play left back, but he's clearly our long-term right back.
Yeah.
So
no,
it's that's the thing. I'm trying to think of excuses, but there's not one in my head which really makes sense, too much. So that one's on Eddie.
And even obviously the longest spell of which we've seen him play was in the game at Old Trafford in the Carabao Cup, where he had a very decent game. Obviously scored all right. There's been a few times where he's come on, and I think we've been a bit all right, okay, yeah, he's still not fully there, and I don't know. Even just thinking sort of positionally, I know Eddie has said he is a left back. That's what he's been brought in for, but it's just still for me. Is that fully decided even in Eddie's mind? Is that why he's reluctant to put him into left back situations because he's still thinking even in his own head, actually, do I want to play him there? Do I think of putting him into midfield longer term? I don't know. There's just so many question marks on him.
That's the thing. I want to see more of him. The promise that he showed, the potential that he's shown, at Chelsea last season. And it's not just in the cup games where he's playing for Chelsea. They had obviously Chilwell's out for fucking months on end. He had to start games against big teams, and he looked comfortable in those games. He looked comfortable on the ball. So how is he looking?
He was class against us, wasn't
he? Yeah. It's the first time I'd seen him. I was like, who the fuck's this guy? And he looked like he was one of their best players. So why are we not seeing more of him? I want to see more of him, and it's just frustrating. It's so frustrating.
He's class out darts as well.
Well, that's even more reason to start him.
Oh, man.
That was a mint bit of what would you call it? Social
the internal social media team. Yeah, they've had a few winners down the last couple of seasons. I was a big fan of the Guess Who with Isak and Lascelles, but the darts was good, and obviously we got to see our boy Sandro back.
Sandro,
they kept a low profile, obviously for obvious reasons, I'd imagine, but he's obviously worked hard on trying to keep a social thing with the team, despite being unavailable this season. So fingers crossed, like even just from those clips that we've seen, that he's still feeling wanted and everything else from the team, and that he's going to come back with a point to prove next season.
I think he will be class when he comes back, but just so long to go.
Yeah.
So, Forest-wise then, do you think it's kind of the same areas where we've seen them at St James's where we need to be wary, or do they play quite different at home?
Well, obviously the crowd's going to be behind them, isn't it? Like, and Iwani, like, he's a different type of striker to Chris Wood. Like, I think he's more of an all-rounder. So he's probably got, I don't know what scored a hat-trick against me, but I would say he's probably more dangerous, strangely. Like he can run with the ball, he can hold it up, he's good from set pieces. Like, yeah, he's a bit of an all-rounder, so he's a tricky guy to defend against. And with the wingers, I think they'll come out with. I really do. Like half-5 kickoff as well. We know what like half-5 kickoffs are like at the Toon. Like, everyone's had a few pints, gets the crowd going. Their home crowd is going to be raucous. Like, so yeah. It's not going to be easy.
They've got a lot to play for now. Like they've still got a potential points deduction hanging over them, and that would really drag them into a shit position. And I mean, last season we scraped it, didn't we? Like, it was a last minute penalty, wasn't it, that won it for us down there last season. So we haven't had prior to that a very good record at the City Ground either. So it's not going to be an easy game whatsoever. And yeah, I think Forest know that they need to be targeting games against, you know, the likes of us, like where they could, like where we're a bit fragile away from home, to get the points they need to pull away from relegation.
That's the thing, though. Like, the 2 points ahead of Everton in the bottom three, and obviously we don't know what's happening with their points as well. Like, they could get some of those 10 points taken off, and then Forest are right down there. So they're going to be fighting. There's still, 13, 14 games left of the season. There's a long way to go, but them getting a win will like help like so much more than probably us trying to get into the sort of 7th, 8th place spot or whatever like that. They're going to be up for it. I wouldn't be surprised if they're more up for it than us. But if we come out and play like we did against Villa, like we shouldn't have any worries. But it's just that mentality, like coming out on the front foot, putting them under pressure, make them make mistakes, and we should have the quality on the pitch to see them through, especially with like the likes of Bonds coming back, the like of like Isak maybe coming back. I expect Wilson to start. Gordon, we don't know what's going to happen with him, whether he'll be fit to start, make the bench, whatever. But we're starting to get options now, whether it's like Miggy on the right, Murphy on the right. Like, there's actually questions to be asked as opposed to saying, right, our front three is going to be this, like, because that's all we've got. So hopefully that'll drive the players to be a bit better as well. Like, whoever's starting will be fighting for the place now, knowing that if they have a bad game, there's someone ready to take the place. And how long has it been since we've been able to say that?
No, totally.
It's happened threats off the bench for like, I can't even remember last time we did. So, looking at the league as well, we're 3 points off West Ham, and then 5 points off Man U in 6th. Do you think that's kind of where we're looking at for this season now?
I think
Spurs are quite far ahead now, 11 points ahead of in 5th.
Yeah, totally. I think we have to resound ourselves to the fact that we're not going to be in the Champions League race, and in some respects, I think even, and yeah, you guys might think otherwise, but like the top 6 is all but decided in some respects for me. And that,
6? Did you say 6?
you see, as much as
Who's that 6th team?
as much as I hate to say it, but
Toon.
and I know that, but yeah, no, I've just got this horrible feeling that Man United of like, I know that the points wise, yeah, they're still very much within sight, but I just feel like they might have just got a bit more of a stranglehold over that, and it was maybe just the way in which they dispatched West Ham at the weekend. Potentially, that's what's swaying my mind on that one. But I feel like the battle that we're going to have is trying to get that 7th spot personally, but and that we're going to obviously need to be reliant on Liverpool doing us a favour in beating Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, so that 7th spot becomes the Conference League position. That's just what I think. I don't know if I'm just maybe looking too far into what I've seen of like one game of Man U against West Ham, against like two sides going for those top 6 places. But yeah, I just think maybe Man U and have got in that 6th spot, and that the top 6, or at the order of which I wouldn't be able to be confident on saying where that top 6 will finish. But the teams within it that are in it now, I feel, I don't know, 90% there.
90? Think. Right, I'll put a bet on you if you want. Give us 10-1, and I'll bet Man U will not finish top 6. I'll fucking all day. I'll even give you. You can give us 8-1 if you want. I'll still take that.
Well, look, there's
give you a good price. I'll give you a good price.
he said he was 90% sure, so 91 sounds good.
I think
I'm 90% sure on the top 5. Like, I'm almost certain those top 5 will finish there. There's potential. I mean, I can't see Villa fucking up that bad where they're going to drop out the top 5. I can't see Tottenham. I can't see, obviously, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City are the 3 who are going to be chasing the title. Nah, I think you underestimate Man U's ability to just completely shit the bed at any point. Like,
they do.
How many times have you seen that this season where they've looked fucking shocking? Like,
no, they have been pretty shocking. Yeah,
they've been shocking in games and still amassed points. Like,
and you think as well that they don't have Europe just like us to compete with, whereas West Ham and Brighton will be back into Europe again as well. So the extra games may take the toll on those sides, whereas Man U just FA Cup left and the league like we do, that might play a factor. I don't know, but that's kind of where I'm trying to get the logic in. Maybe the more I'm talking, the more the 90% is dropping down a touch of confidence wise. But I still, it would be foolish of us to completely write them off that they're going to fall down and that we're going to finish above them.
No.
I mean, I would absolutely love it if we did, but it's we've got a 5-point gap at the minute between us, and each the run-ins, when you look at them for everybody, is fairly similar, obviously because of the fact that there's still 14 games left, so quite a lot of teams need to play against the same teams. So it's just sort of, I look at Brighton. At one point they have to play Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal all within the space of like 4 game weeks. Like, that would be massive. Like, obviously they could have a real say on where the title goes based on that run of games, but like, I could see them potentially struggling, and that's where I think that we need to capitalise and just make sure that we get the points back against those sides directly above us in Brighton and West Ham, and try and just cement ourselves at least into 7th, and then just hope Man U like fall away and that we can nick into 6. Obviously, that would then be a difference of Europa Conference League against Europa League. But I think that has to be our aim, is to finish in one of those spots which could get us Europe. If not, obviously getting it through FA Cup win.
Yep, me away to fucking some random Bosnian team or something. I'm all up for that.
Yeah.
Top 6, 7. Like, I'd be gutted if we finish lower. Like I did say at the start of the season, 8th or higher, cup run. Look, we're like obviously not in a great place at the moment, but we know we can turn it on. We know we can hit a run of form and beat anyone on the day. We've got Man U in their backyard. We could go there and slap them like we did in the cup. Like, I wouldn't rule anything out at this point.
I'm looking at is like we're probably getting no points as Arsenal away.
Well, that's the thing. We've already played throughout the top 4 twice. Like, they've got a run of games where they've got Chelsea at home. They're away at Chelsea. Yeah, obviously Chelsea aren't playing well at the moment, but going to Stamford Bridge, never a particularly easy game. Then they've got Liverpool away to Bournemouth, and then they've got us. They've also got Man City in there. They've got Arsenal, second last game of the season. They were away to Brighton last game of the season. They've got a lot of top-off teams still left to play. And they've got Villa this weekend, obviously, so there's a lot of opportunities for them to drop points. And you've seen a lot of their wins earlier in the season were against the bottom half side teams, and a lot of them scraped as well. So, yeah. I know we've went fucking way off topic, but yeah, if we get a win and they fail to get anything at Villa, which is completely plausible, 2 points behind, I'll take all your money.
Well, I guess the last question now is, will we get the win? So let's have a prediction of his. After all that talk.
Going in with massive confidence, I'm not going to lie. But then again, I didn't with Aston Villa. And I'm going to say we'll win 2-1.
Oh, I think we will also win. I was going to say 2-1 as well. But I'll go with 3-2.
I was actually thinking that, you know. I was actually thinking something like 3-2. Like, obviously, like, we all went fucking 1-0 against Luton. And now we're thinking, yeah, we're going to concede probably multiple goals against Forest.
All right. I'm going to say, I reckon we're on the training pitch all week.
Wait.
Going to have that defence back to
where back?
Best. Dan Burns going to be fucking getting those last minute long legs in. I'm going to say 3-0.
Fuck it, also. Been on the fucking Australian moonshine.
Early morning as well.
The sun's come out. Feeling good. No, I think I think we're gonna go on a run now, like we've got to.
God.
So it starts with Forest. Well, to be fair, we haven't lost in a couple of games.
But yeah.
And then so after that we're looking at Bournemouth away, is it? No,
Bournemouth home. Bournemouth home after, aye.
Saturday 3:00, I believe.
Aye.
So we'll be back next week for that one. And hopefully we'll be looking at the league this time next week and be feeling a bit more positive. That 90% of yours, Tom, will be drastically
I'll be
reduced.
down a lot of money.
DAC down a lot.
DAC. Didn't want to drop the C bomb on us, but yeah, we'll see.
We'll see next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right, well, join us for that one. Remember to like the episode, like the podcast, follow the podcast on social media at stjames'pod. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you then.